Hello and welcome to this edition of Healing and Forgiveness. This is the second video in a three-part series on I'm really looking at the connection between healing and forgiveness. And in this video, I want to talk about forgiving ourselves. You know, we have to kind of forgive ourselves for certain things. And there's two parts really, I think. When I started this, there were two parts that really became apparent for me. And it's this, you know, forgiving ourselves for the things that we know that we did that we shouldn't have done, or that we're holding on to with regret, right? We have these regrets in our life that we do, but those regrets that we're holding on to are connected to the false beliefs that we have about ourselves. You know, if we do something that we don't, believe that we did in our highest and best interest, say we lied or we owed somebody money and we never paid them, or we treated somebody unfairly, misjudged them, or judged them at all, those are things that build these beliefs that we have about ourselves. And then sometimes, we know that we did stuff wrong, right? I remember when I was younger, I had a bunch of my sister's shoes. And when I started this healing journey, I actually went to her and I told her, I confessed to her. This was years later, but it was still weighing pretty heavy on me, right? It did, because it just was. It was one of those things that just sits, you know what I'm talking about. If you're watching this video, there are things that just sit on our subconscious mind, or that we just hold on to, that we need to kind of, confess, fess up to it, ask for forgiveness, right? And this is one of the things that I did. And I went to her and I told her, we were in our 50s, right? This was when I was, I don't know, 16, 17. It's a long time. It wrote on my mind. I told her, remember that time? And I explained it to her, and she said, yeah. And I said, I actually did take your shoes. I actually did have them. And when you left, I gathered them all up, and I took them back home, and I threw them, and I told her where I put them. I said, I actually put them in a place in your room where it wouldn't be brought back to me. I mean, I really did that. I took all these shoes, or like 4 or 5 pairs of shoes, and I hid them in like a corner of her closet that she didn't put shoes in, right? And I confessed it. But I'll tell you, it sounds really, really kind of trivial, right? But it's these types of situations that when we feel those emotions, that regret, that remorse, that burden that we carry, when we feel these things, by confessing it, it set me free. It set me free. Then I asked her to forgive me. Whether she did or she doesn't, or whether other people do or they don't, that's not what we're looking for. What you're looking for is that release of admitting that you did something, that you're holding this belief of being dishonest, of, I was being dishonest. I had stole from her, and when she confronted me about it, I lied about it. There were a lot of things inside that were connected to this one incident, and I had to, and when I admitted to it, they were all released. But I asked her for forgiveness. So, I really would like it if you'd forgive me for that. She did. At least she said she did. That she still looked at me kind of funny. And things like that. I mean, this is a little kind of, let's throw some humor in here, right? But she was, I'm sure she was upset. But, I think about it. What if she still held that against me, right? What if somehow she was holding that against me and created that belief about herself, within herself, or about me? By confessing it and really talking about it and asking her for forgiveness and her giving it to me, it broke all those bonds. It broke all those belief systems, those false belief systems that I was holding about myself, and that I was holding, about myself. but then also that she was holding against me. And this type, and I'm not talking just this really fundamental approach to the things that ruminate in your mind. I'm not saying go dig up bodies. Let the dead lie, right? Let the dead sleep. Don't go dig stuff up. I'm saying if there's something on your mind or that's ruminating in your head that you did that's really remorseful, that you're really having a hard time, or that just keeps coming up, or that you're struggling with, or that it will come up, right? Blame yourself, blame others. It can stop. It can stop here. All you have to do is give the item back, pay the money back, admit to it, whatever it takes inside of you that whatever it takes to right that wrong, to correct those misbeliefs within you about you. Because it made me feel like I'm a dishonest person. And that was a belief I had about myself. I was dishonest with her. And I was. And I had taken something from somebody that wasn't mine. Right? And when we pay attention to these types of things within ourselves and our everyday actions and behaviors, this is what healing forward is. It's not, always going back and trying to dig stuff up to make yourself feel better, right? Healing forward's about realizing that this could be, living your personal truth. This is about living your truth. So healing forward isn't about going back and doing that stuff. I mean, I did. I went back and apologized for things and asked for forgiveness for things. And some people, most people were they were actually really accommodating. But most of the people that I talked to and stuff, they knew where I was coming from. They knew what I had experienced. They knew why I was doing it. And for most of them, it was trivial. It didn't even really faze them. But it wasn't about them. This was about me feeling good about who I was and doing the right thing with what I knew inside of me. And going forward, it's what do you believe about you? What do you believe about you? What do you stand for? And living that to everyday moments. Constantly living that. Constantly living it. If you feel like you're an honest person, be honest in all your dealings. If you feel like you're truthful, be truthful in all your dealings. Now that doesn't mean that if your wife just had a baby and she asks you if her butt looks big, and it kind of does still because she just had a baby, I would be careful with that one. Or, the same about your husband. If your husband's, been doing his thing and trying to get fit or whatever, or he's gained a few pounds, use your better judgment, because these are the significant people in your life, right? Right? Yeah. But really, be honest in your judgment. Be honest in your dealings. Be forthright. Be discerning, but also be honest. Tell people how you feel. If somebody hurts your feelings, say, that hurt my feelings. Or if somebody steals from you, if somebody's, mistreating you, let them know. And if they don't change, then you make the change. But forgive. When you don't do this, you have to end up forgiving yourself for not sticking up for yourself, for not valuing yourself. If somebody steals from you, just tell them that was wrong. That was wrong. What they do with it from there, it's up to them. That's their deal. But you can forgive them. You can forgive them. And we're going to talk about how you forgive people when forgiveness probably isn't really due. In the next video, when we talk about forgiving others, I'm going to share some tips and suggestions on that. But these are the things that help us grow. And these are the things that bring more personal awareness to us. Because when we understand the feeling inside of us, when we do something that's really inappropriate and wrong, right? That other person, other people, they have to have the same guilt. They have to have the same feelings. Like when I took my sister's shoes, it was because I didn't have shoes like that. And I wanted to wear shoes like that. All my friends were wearing shoes like that, and I didn't have them. And it was embarrassing to me. I wanted to be like other people, and you know, my situation, the way I grew up, it didn't allow for me to have certain things like that, right? But that didn't give me the right to take her things, right? Just because I didn't have that didn't give me the right to take it. And the same goes for everybody. Just because you don't have something and somebody else does, but you want that thing, doesn't give us the right to take that thing. Because we know what it feels like for our things to be taken, which we'll talk about in the next video. But we know that feeling of doing something that we know is against our better judgment, against who we are. And when we take that information that we know about ourselves, right, and why we do the things that we do, because I didn't have the resources or the access to that thing, and I was feeling whatever I was feeling, those are really vital things to hold on to, because when we talk in the next video about forgiving others, it's going to be useful. You can look at it as an infinity, like an infinity trail, or you can look at it as a circle. I think I'd look at it more as like an infinity, as fate and as things go around. But as we start releasing these things, as I started releasing these things, I started learning more and more about me, and I became more self-aware of what I was doing and why I was doing things, which allowed for tremendous and rapid growth, and how I overcame where I was to where I got to. For some people, they think, oh, God, Lesley, 3 years is a long time. If you watch the movie, you'll understand that comment. But really, other people say, how did you do it? And this is how I did it. This is exactly how I did it. When I learned about me, and I learned more about others. And this is how I was able to get to where I am now. Now, if you watched, if you have to, I have to really put this in here, is that in order for you to understand what I'm talking about, you have to go back and watch that video of my journey, my healing journey, because then it would make more sense of what I just said. But essentially, when I went through a period of time where I just melted down and was like a 5-year-old, and I had to rebuild myself and my life all over again. I explain more of it in detail in the other video, but this is what I'm talking about. And the reason I share all of this information is because of the mental health crisis that people are going through now. And I've truly spent 7 years trying to find the best way, the most positive way to share this information so that other people grow. Because I don't think that hitting people's pain points is the best option. I think giving people an opportunity to learn in a positive way is much better. It's much better. I would rather teach and work with people who want to grow from a positive perspective, looking at the worst stuff and finding the golden nugget in it. That's what I'm all about. And if you're interested in learning more about how to really dig down inside of you and make these changes, believe me, it'll be much easier for you rapidly through this. Please, there's a link down below. You can join the webinars that I hold now, that I'll be holding from now on. This is September of 2024. I'll be holding them until January of 2025. I really encourage you to join one of these webinars and start learning how this can implement into your life if you're struggling finding that balance in your life. Because the balance in your life within you comes from finding peace and harmony in all of your situations. And what all of this stuff, this forgiveness and this healing, what it does is it brings you peace and harmony within so that you can live a balanced life. And it eliminates so much. And it's freedom. It allows you to have freedom. So let me just recap before I end this video. So when I talk about the forgiveness and the healing, when we start to forgive ourselves, right? We forgive ourselves for the things that we have done towards other people. But there's also, for what we've done to ourselves, what our actions have caused within ourselves, right? But then when we have to forgive other people, one of the ways we can do that is by looking at some of the things that have been done to us, we've also done to others, right? Some of the things we do, well, if they did, so can I. Well, how did that leave you feeling? Just because somebody treats you a certain way, they say an eye for an eye, that's not right. I'd reread that section because it wasn't right. Just because somebody does something to you doesn't mean you should do it back to them. What it means is that you can take what somebody does to you and say to yourself this: I know what I feel like when this person hurt me, when this person's actions hurt me, and how bad it made you feel. Think to yourself, why would I ever want to do that to somebody else? Why would I ever want to do that to somebody else? And then look at how when other people treat you the way you've treated another person, just think about those feelings, right? Does that make sense to you? I hope so. I hope so. It doesn't mean that you're always going to get it right. And there's instances when we don't have all the information and we lose our shit. Let's just admit it. There's instances we just lose our shit and we don't have all the information, but we have enough to blow our gaskets, right? And then later you find out that that you missed something. The same thing applies. You just admit, you ask for forgiveness, and then you learn from that mistake. And once you acknowledge, the admitting it is acknowledging to yourself out loud so you can hear it yourself. I messed up. This wasn't the best choice for me. And I had to humble myself and go to that other person and make amends and make it right. You know, some people can apologize and they keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again, right? They're not learning from it because they didn't mean, when we do that, we don't mean what we're saying. But when we truly mean what we're saying, the whole point is to learn from it, is to be personal awareness, to be aware, so aware of who we are and what we do, that we're conscious and we make amends for things that we know we can, so that it heals those relationships. Does that mean that the relationship has to stay intact? No. This is the point where healing, when they say forgive and forget. Forgive and forget actually means when you forgive that person or yourself, you forget that pain. You forget that guilt. You forget the emotion that kept you there. It doesn't let you forget the lesson, because you grew. You've already grown from it. You already grew from the experience, from the moment it happened, because your body takes in all the information, and those ill feelings and that misbelief, that's telling you that you processed something wrong. Somewhere within you, emotionally, mentally, you processed information incorrectly. And that's where those misbeliefs come from. It's processing information incorrectly. It's like putting together a puzzle and taking all the pieces that kind of look like they should fit and just like hammering them in. And look at the picture you have. It's a disaster. So hit the bottom of your puzzle. Shake up some of those pieces that are in the wrong place. And, become your own Picasso. Put them where they belong. And get rid of the ones that don't belong there. Sometimes, most often when you start this process, and it's a fun process. Yeah, it can sting a little bit when you have to confess to certain things, or you have to admit certain things that you didn't want to. But that's how we grow. And you have to eliminate the things in your life that don't serve you, so that you make room for the things that do. And this is one of the steps to do that. It's one of the steps to healing, and to eliminate not only, your healing by eliminating these false beliefs and these wrong behaviors that we have. Then we get to be the best version of ourselves, right? Being the best version of yourself is living from the inside out, which is what my course teaches. How to live from the inside out, how to live your authentic truth. And one of the most blessed gifts is that you have the ability from that point, when you are inside, you are living your gut honest truth. This is where your guidance comes in. This is where your connection to your divine comes in. When you are so authentically living, because this means that you are living your life from the purest aspect of you, the most authentic, the purest soul, but the most authentic aspect of you. And when you reach this point, my friend, that divine guidance comes pouring in like a beautiful spring rain. It just, like sunshine, it comes in and it just warms you. Just warms you. And I'll give you an example that I know that everybody has experienced. Have you ever been sitting somewhere and you just doing something, but all of a sudden you get this rush inside of you? It's like this tingly feeling that just comes and then it goes. You know that feeling? We've all had it. That's them letting you know that they're there. And if you don't believe me, I want you to try my little exercise that I use all the time. Sit quietly, close your eyes if you can, and ask yourself, if Lesley is telling us the truth in her videos, if this will really heal me, and if this will allow that connection that I get to be my most authentic self and live my greatest life, led by divine, like it's supposed to be in the first place, show me, and then ask to be shown something. Anything. Make it simple. A blue button, a butterfly, I don't know. Pick something. Pick the first thing that pops into your mind. And then wait for it to show up. Because I guarantee it's going to show up. And when you do, when it does show up, oh, my friend, just be so grateful and thank them. Thank your higher self. Thank your divine guidance. This isn't religious. This is between you and your maker. And if you're looking for that relationship and you're looking for that connection, this is how you get it. The whole point of my stuff, when you hear my story, God and I had a war. God and I had a war. And he won. Actually, we both won. Because I looked for him my whole life. I could see him with other people, but I couldn't find him with me. But when my life fell apart, and I fell apart to such a degree, and I was angry with God, and I said, fine, deny me, but I will not deny you, but I'm going to be the best me I can be. And this is how you find your purpose. It's how you become the best you. It's how you connect. It's how you live the life you're supposed to be living. Anyway, I could go on forever because that's how important it is to me that people understand their mental health. And it's not just about how we treat others, but it's how we treat ourselves. We can't control what others do to us. We can't control how other people mistreat us. But let me tell you something, my friend. You sure as hell have the power. And it's divine power of how you allow that to affect you. How you allow other people's treatments to affect you. I'm going to talk about forgiving others in this next video, which is going to be tremendously beneficial if you are stuck in situations where people mistreat you and that they take you for granted and you don't know how to get out of it or how to make those changes. I got you, I promise. In the next video, part 3. I'll see you there. Oh, and if you like the content of this video, be sure and share it with family or friends that you think it will benefit. And, consider subscribing to the channel because there's a lot of this content that's going to come out. And if you found value in this, just wait. There's a lot more to come. There's a lot more to come because this is my passion now, to make sure that I do the best I can to make as much of a positive change in this world as possible. Because mental and emotional health is critical for humanity's survival. And I know that even just you changing, we can't change other people, but making those changes in you. Think about the ripple effect that you will have in this world. Pretty powerful, isn't it? I'll see you in the next video. Take care.